Hi, folks. Steve Urban here, host of the Riderflex podcast and founder and CEO of our day job recruiting firm, Riderflex. We hope you enjoy this episode. And as a reminder, please subscribe to the podcast for updates and news. Finally, if you haven't already, check out the series of books we've published on hiring, interviewing, and overall career advice titled The Riderflex Guide, available on Amazon. And now, a quick word from our sponsor.
Most homeowners don't have the time or expertise to properly take care of their home, which causes costly issues to arise. That's where Kira Home Maintenance comes in. We're a full-service, routine maintenance company that was developed by a certified home inspector. Each quarter, we service our clients' homes following manufacturer's recommendations to properly maintain all the necessary appliances. We provide the materials and expertise to prolong the life of your property, creating a healthy and efficient environment for your family. From top to bottom, we'll maintain and service your home. To get started, we have a property inspection to determine what needs to be maintained, and a maintenance plan is created based on your preferences. From refrigerator coils to filters, vents, and drains, we do it all, and we do it well. Contact us today for your free routine maintenance inspection, and never worry about your maintenance again.
I went into the sport and it just forged me. It just curated me into the athlete I became. And then I was a 4-sport letterman at high school, and then I wrestled in college, D1.
That's great. Did you, so you had a scholarship to wrestle D1 in college. I mean, were you a state finalist, placer? Did you win state? How'd you do in high school?
No. What happened was I blew out my knee at the sectional, so I didn't even make the district tournament. But the guy that I was beating took fourth in the state. So there was some recruiters there. And then the program that I went to was, while it was D1, it wasn't a great program. So it was a half, like a third scholarship. They had like pieces of scholarships. Particularly in the sport of wrestling, you don't get very few people get a full scholarship.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a tough sport. But I ended up getting like my meals paid for, my books paid for, and I think some living expenses as well on the partial scholarship. Yeah.
Did you wrestle all 4 years in college?
No, I blew out my knee again in my sophomore year, and I transferred from University of Dayton to John Carroll University, and that's when I went into coaching. So that year I coached for my high school alma mater, and I was there for 4 years as the head assistant. And then I became the first graduate assistant at John Carroll University's program when I was getting my master's. So I coached from my high school alma mater to my college alma mater, and I graduated there. And then I went to my high school about 4 years later as the head coach.
Very good. How long were you head coach?
I was head coach there 5 years, the first stint, and 3 years, the second stint. And both times I revived the program. When I took over the program in '87, Steve, it was a storied program. It was down to one kid, K through 12. One.
Huh? You mean one kid on the team?
On the entire school system that wrestled. One.
Oh my God. Okay. Wow.
And within 7 years, because the 5 years as a head coach, and then I brought in one of my dearest friends as an assistant. And then when I retired in the first 5 years, he took over for those next 2 years. We went from one kid to fourth in the state, with 6 kids placing in the state tournament.
Six state placers. Very nice. Awesome. Yep. Wow. Congratulations. I mean,
two finalists. Yeah.
2 finalists. Yeah. Okay. That's pretty good, my friend. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And then I redid it again in 2000. This was back in '87. And then in 2014, I came out of retirement, and the program was down to 6 kids, K through 12, after they had just graduated, two-time state champs and a really very stellar senior class. But the head coach wanted to go back down to Columbus, where he was from originally, and be a head coach at his high school alma mater. And so I took over that program and built it up to 120 kids in 3 years.
Wow. It speaks to your ability to not only attract talent, but to mentor, motivate, and inspire young men to want to come out for the sport, which I know, being a wrestling parent, it is a very tough sport, the toughest sport I have ever seen kids go through. I mean, you watch your kid's face get slammed in the mat enough times, a few feet away, and it's
Yes, sir.
brutal.
And it's a very honest sport because you're naked out there. There's nobody else to blame.
That's right.
And it's all merit based, which I absolutely adore because you get what you earned.
Yep. Yeah. I always loved that about it. I'm like, hey, look, if you beat the other guy going out at 152 pounds, then you make the starting lineup. If he beats you, you don't make the lineup. Like, that's it.
Exactly. And it's hard to trash talk, although there's, this generation does like to trash talk because no matter what badass you think you are, there's somebody better. There's somebody.
Yeah. I don't want to turn this into a football and wrestling podcast. I'll just tell a couple more stories, but yeah, both my boys wrestled, and we had a good. That's why we moved to Johnstown, Colorado.
Sure.
When I got the job, we were moving from Oklahoma, which was a pretty big wrestling state, as you know.
Yeah, tough.
We were moving from Oklahoma, and they wrestled there in middle school, junior high, stuff like that. Anyway, I'd got a job in Colorado, and so I'm calling around. This is before, internet was up, but wasn't like it is today. So I'm calling around. I'm like, look, I'm going to work north of Denver, between Denver and Fort Collins. I can kind of live anywhere in there. Where are the best programs? So finally, right. a few guys were like, go talk to Coach Pilato at Roosevelt. That's who you need to go see.
Okay.
Big time program, always trying to win the state championship or close or whatever. Anyway, I flew into Colorado, did my job interview, and then I drove right over to the school. This is just by myself. The boys weren't with me. I went in the school. I asked the athletic director, I'm like, I'm from out of state. We're thinking about moving here. I want to talk to Coach Pilato. And so she took me right down the hall, and he came out of that classroom, and the aura, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but the bravado, I don't know what it was, but the way he carried the charisma, the way he carried himself, the way those boys respected him, and just the feel.
Yeah.
I called my wife at the airport. I'm like, we're moving to Johnstown.
Well, that's why I did blood time, because of the same thing, how a coach transforms the athlete. And then
totally.
And the nugget of blood time, that blood time moment is, what do they do with that transformation? And the stories are astounding because, leaders in civic and in military and business, in philanthropy, in medicine, in government, all of these individuals, from world champions just to guys that just made the team, but what they did with that transformation in the real world is really where the story lives, because then that reverberates, right? It reverberates.
Couldn't agree more. I don't know very many former wrestlers that aren't successful in life, for the most part. There's exceptions, but
of course. Yeah. Of course.
Most of the time, they're all grit and determination, work ethic, all of it. But no more coaching for you. You done?
Yeah, I'm done. 45 years later, I'm done. I hit the big 6'6", and I'm good.
You're good to go. You've had it. Do you go to any more tournaments? Do you ever kind of?
Well, the season hasn't started, so I retired in April after the last season.
Okay.
And so, but I probably won't go to much. I'm so really over it. And the podcast, I still stay in it because I just interviewed Wade Chalice, who arguably is one of the top, 10 wrestlers ever, be born in this country.
Yeah.
He's had three moves named after him.
Pretty cool.
And just interviewed the Air Force Academy head coach, Sam Barber. Right in your neck of the woods. Yep.
Okay.
They had their first Armed Forces national champion in 55 years in any of the armed forces.
Was that last year? Was that the last year? Oh, who was that? What was it?
Wyatt Hendrickson. Wyatt Hendrickson.
Okay.
He was a stud.
Yeah, very cool.
So, so I'll stay in that. But I also, created with the former wrestler of mine, Wrestlers in Business Network, which is actually, he's in your industry. He owns Alliance Staffing Solutions.
Cool.
Sat on his board. And there's over 60,000 members now from our inception. It was his brainchild, but he came to me and he said, Coach, I need you to help me get this off the ground. And we did it back in 2009. It was just an idea on a LinkedIn group. And here we sit, 60,000 members strong with probably 50 chapters around the country.
Very cool. The Blood Time podcast available on Spotify, just about anywhere.
Everywhere. Yep. Apple, you name it. iHeart.
Okay. Very good. Are you going to do like one interview a month, one interview every few weeks? What are you thinking
Well, we're now our fifth season, and we just released our 102nd episode.
Okay.
So we're about 25 episodes a year.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
So how does a former coach, you majored in history, I guess, were you thinking I'm just going to be a history teacher and a coach? Was that the plan?
No, I never wanted to teach, and I never did teach. I was always a businessman. So as a coach, I had to leave my job, leave my office, leave my company to go coach. So I left a few dollars on the table, but it's okay. The treasures are really in the relationships. But at the end of the day, when I graduated with a history degree, I went into law school.
Okay.
I came from the hippie generation, man. I was born in 57, and I wanted to change the world, I wanted to bring humanity to the world. Man, I got a cold water in the face when I went to law school, and everybody's cheating to pass the tests and scrambling to stab this person in the back. I'm like, oh my God, really? So I left law school, got my master's in history, and I went into the business world. I had the law degree, but I didn't go to the bar and all that, So I had the knowledge of the legal education. So I had that in my back pocket.
Okay.
But I figured, it's most of legal is no courtroom. It's all negotiations behind the, in the back room or whatever. Yeah. And I said, man, I might as well just do this in business and make money for myself, So
yeah.
That's what I did.
And do you consider yourself now, besides an entrepreneur and an overall businessman, functionally, was marketing your expertise? Was sales your expertise? How did you classify yourself early on?
What happened? Yeah, what happened was I came out of the Carter era. And if you're familiar with that, it was the worst economy. It was one of the worst presidents in the history of our country.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, just a weak president. Not really smart guy, wonderful guy, but
nice guy, nice guy, but
horrible president. And so there was no jobs when I graduated in 1980 from college. Steve, it was the largest graduating class in the history of our country, and there was no jobs. Yep. And so when Reagan got in there. I went back to college because I couldn't find a job. I mean, I could have done, McDonald's or whatever, but and there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's plenty of people that are making millions of dollars owning McDonald's, working with McDonald's, etc. But that said, I wanted to do something that I wanted to do, and so I went back to school, got my degree, and coached, and also worked part-time for my family's paint factory.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how my grandfather made his money. And so that's after the graduation of my master's, it was 83. Well, we already had 3 years of Reagan. So the economy was starting to boom. And so I walked into a friend of mine, actually it was a family, more than a friend. The Italians call it bars, which is more than a friend. It's like a friend, but a family member, right? But that are not related. And he owned a radio station. And so I walked in there, and before you know it, I was the local sales manager. So
I see. Okay, very good.
I had no idea to get into marketing. None, zero.
But you had the people skills for sales. You had the EQ, so to speak. You were probably always good with people. I'm sure you had to be a coach for that long too.
Yeah. Well, so, again, it was about, I cared about the person. And sometimes it's bit me in the ass, and that's okay, right? But I was always empathetic, and always try to put myself in the seat of the person I'm doing business with.
Yes.
So I never really tried to sell them. I tried to provide a solution.
Your folks, real quick, and your grandparents. So how come you didn't just keep working for the family business, or did it wind down, or what was the story?
Yeah, well, there was a falling out between my grandfather and his brother-in-laws. And so my grandfather started his own company, but died early. He was 65. I'm older right now than he ever was on the planet.
Yeah.
He died at 65, and my father didn't want to take over the business, so he sold the business and went in to sell mainframe computers.
Your dad sold the business. I see.
Yeah,
I see.
my dad sold the business. He was a young man, 26 years old when his dad died. And then he went and he was selling mainframe computers at the time. He was selling for Univac, and then he went to sell for Honeywell, and then for Amdahl. So all the big boxes, back before there was PCs. And he made a name for himself. He did very well. But I went to work when I was in high school and college during the summers for my family's paint factory, which was my grandfather's brother-in-law's and sister.
I see.
And so what I found out was it was very mismanaged.
Wow.
It was antiquated. And I went and I said, look, I can really help this company explode.
If you'll let me.
If you let me. And they wouldn't let me. And matter of fact, I went back to them. This is how crazy it got. So I never worked for them after that, after I graduated grad school. And so I went back to them 13 years later. I was really good friends with the CEO and the CEO's brother of a company called Park, Ohio, here in town. It's a it's an old line business conglomerate. They make paint cans, they make brake parts, all the good stuff that made Cleveland, right? Okay. Not a $2 billion company. And they wanted to buy this paint factory. They wanted to buy my family's paint factory. And I had it sold for them for a small 8-figure fee, and they rejected it. Wow. I said, you just basically kiss my ass. Yeah. And sadly, the company went into receivership, and it went out of business in 2007.
That's tough. And somebody on that side, several people on that side, had to live with the fact that they could have taken that money. They could have. And
I would see her. She was my godmother. Yeah. So I would see her at family functions and everything. It was very nice and everything, but you're a knucklehead. So
one of the company, before I started Riderflex, I was the president and COO for an apparel company, and had a chance. They had a chance. The owners, the founders, original founders, they were still kind of semi-involved in the business, and had an offer for 40 million. Wouldn't take it. I think it was 5 years later, out of business, Chapter 11.
Yep. There was a big ad agency here in town, Wise Advertising, same thing. He was offered 190 million back in the 90s. He said no, and it basically has got 12 people working for it now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they were the guys that did Smucker. Yeah, with a name like Smucker, it has to be good. They did that, and they did the paint, Cover the Earth with Sherwin-Williams. They did that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're big. They were big time. And
before I ask you about Razor, let me come back to family. Well, how about you now? Grandkids, kids, married, single? What's going on with Peter?
Yeah, I'm on my second marriage.
Okay.
She's fantastic, Missy. She's a second grade teacher. She's a fantastic person.
Awesome. And, how long you been married to her?
2 years.
Oh wow, that's still pretty fresh. Holy cow!
It is 2 years.
How long were you single?
I was single 9 years.
All right.
I was divorced in 2013. Actually, 8 years. I got married in 21.
Okay.
And I was that came out of a 30-year marriage. Great lady, great mother. I got 3 great kids from her, and just fantastic. We just agreed to disagree, and
okay. Get along. So you get along with her fairly well?
Yeah. I mean, there's really no relationship there, but my kids and I get along great, and they love their mother, and they, so it's good. It's good.
Any grandkids?
Not yet. And I'm getting long in the tooth too. So I talked to my daughter. She's getting married next year. So who knows? Maybe her. But
you got to have a little wrestler. She's got to have a little boy. You got to have a little wrestler so you can help him out.
Well, my two sons never touched the mat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're both artists.
Okay.
My middle son was just voted one of the top gay artists in the country.
How about that?
Out magazine. Yeah.
How about that?
And my oldest is a writer. He does. They didn't know. They were not sports. And my baby, she was my athlete. She was the captain of the softball team, so I got to cheer that.
Interesting. Very, very cool. Well, you'll probably have some grandkids sooner or later. It has softened.
I love my grandnieces and grandnephews. My sister's got 4 of them. My other sister's going to have one soon, and so it's cool. It's cool.
Now, one more question on the family. Your wife that you just married, I'm guessing, did she have some kids from her first marriage?
Yeah, she's got 2. Matter of fact, her baby girl just got married in Hawaii. We just got back from Kona, Hawaii.
Okay. All right. Cool.
She lives out there with her new husband, and they run a food farm.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's real cool. It's real cool. The wedding was like something out of Bali High. It was unbelievable. It was just crazy. It was a 23-acre farm overlooking the Pacific Ocean at the north tip of the big island.
Ooh.
And he's a 7th generation Hawaiian.
Really?
It's cool. Yeah. And then they came back here. This was on the 16th of September. They came back here, and on the 30th, we had a big party at my house to celebrate it for all the Northeast Ohio people that couldn't get out
nice.
there.
Now, the nicest thing about everything you just told me is now you have a permanent place in Hawaii to go on vacation anytime you want. You just fly down there.
I've been to Hawaii twice this year. Come on. Who's been to Hawaii twice that you know, let alone twice a year?
All right. That's,
you know what I mean?
All right. I like that. That's nice. That's nice. That's
definitely going out there once or twice a year for sure.
So going back to your career, Razor Marketing, were you the founder, co-founder of that, or just an officer? Walk me through that, because you almost 20 years there. Walk us through that real quick.
Yeah, Razor was the in-house agency for a product I invented with my sister and my brother-in-law called Cough Pops, cough drop on a stick.
Okay.
And so we took that from kitchen table to international distribution. We were all 50 states, Canada, Mexico, Middle East, and we were in every major retailer, Target, Walgreens, Walmart,
Awesome.
Rite Aid, CVS, you name it.
Awesome.
And we sold that for a good number back in 2006.
Congratulations.
Thank you. 98. So we did that. We took it from back room, from basically kitchen table to international distribution, as I said.
Nice.
And when I sold that, we had all this amazing marketing knowledge.
Okay.
And some success from basically, guerrilla marketing, if you will. And so we took that to the marketplace and started doing some of the most iconic campaigns in the history of Ohio. And then Razor, I saw the writing on the wall about 6 years ago. And so Razor now is just a division of Palladium. It's the marketing division. So Palladium really is the best practices company, because really we look at all line items now, not just marketing.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you for walking me through that. So tell me, Palladium, and by the way, for the listeners, it's palladiumedge.com, palladiumedge.com. Give us the overview on Palladium. Go for it.
Yeah. So essentially what we do is we triage companies. We go in and we do a deep dive. We find out what's right with a company, what's not so right with a company, where do they want to be and why, and how fast, and we get them there. And that could be everything from top line growth to line item efficiencies to EBITDA growth to valuation growth to looking to acquire companies, looking to be acquired, looking to raise capital, or all the things in between. So we get engaged for a singular best practice, some type of would be a la carte, or a hybrid solution, or a full-blown strategic master plan. And we just recently helped a lift truck company, 3 dealership lift truck company here in the Midwest. So what we did was we took them, they were looking to sell, and they really didn't have a buyer, and they were looking at maybe 28 million to get as the number. Okay. I said, time out, hold your horses. So we went in there, we did the triage.
Didn't have the right officers in place, and their fantasy valuation number, I'm guessing that's what they weren't worth that when you went.
No, they were undervalued. So
okay.
Yeah. So what happened was, and this is your industry, right? So I went to my guy who's in your industry, and I said, I need 3 executives.
Yep.
And then I went to Toyota corporate. I said, I got a fantastic undervalued lift truck company, but you're going to have to pay the price.
Okay.
We got it up to 40 million. We sold it for 40 million.
Nice.
And Toyota is notorious for clawbacks. So they went with a $3 million clawback. We got that down to $600,000.
Cool.
So he walked away with almost 14 million more than he thought he was going to get.
How about that? Very good. Very good. Now, but you do everything from save the company, clean up the company, sell the company, get it ready for sale. You name it. You guys can do it.
Yep, we sure can. And that's how we do the deep dive. So we find out basically, Steve, what is the pain and where is the desire and why aren't you getting there?
Yeah.
And so we put together that plan.
What percentage of the companies you serviced are looking to sell versus please save us, we're dying?
90% healthy or looking to sell, 10% reclamation projects.
Yeah, reclamation is a good word. Thank you. And that's probably a larger percentage probably isn't that, because once they're at that point, they don't have the money to pay you anyway, most of the time.
Exactly. And I just, at this point in my life, I just cannot not get paid.
Yeah.
What I'm worth. So
yeah.
no.
Even if they're like, hey, if you'll save us, we'll give you a piece of the company. And you're like, that's okay.
Well, I have that right now with a company that I'm doing business with a very dear friend. Matter of fact, I met with him today.
Okay.
And I'm okay with that. But he still paid us. He just didn't, he paid us basically cost. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I do some of those cost deals for my super close friends. I mean, sometimes, or if I really want the logo, if I really want the name recognition of the client, I'll do something special if I'm trying to use it for marketing purposes or something. Do you work? I'm guessing you structure it in all kinds of different ways, or are you pretty rigid with, hey, it's a straight hourly rate, or it's a project rate, or it's a percentage of the sale? I'm kind of curious as to how you line it up.
Yeah. So the deep dive is non-negotiable.
Okay.
It's very important. And so
Okay.
that's a good chunk, right? But then the strategic master plan, we can do a couple of different ways going forward. Typically it's a retainer plus a success fee.
Okay.
For some type of percentage. Or there is a bonus structure that if we hit their number plus a certain thing, we get a percentage of the company or a percentage on top of the fee structure.
Very good. It's interesting on the whole retainer or some cash in the bank up front. We just recently, I just got really irritated within the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Burned 2 or 3 times where I let a deal slide. I was, it was somebody I kind of knew, don't make them pay the deposit that I would normally make people pay. And then we get screwed. I called my co-founder, Scott, about a month ago. And I said, that's it. I said, unless there's a retainer, unless there is cash in the bank of some kind.
Yeah. We're
not picking up the pencil and doing an inch of work until I know they're vested in some way. Like, I'm just not doing it anymore. I'm tired of chasing the cash. I'm tired of people paying slow. I'm tired of it. Anyway, sorry, just venting, Peter. Sorry.
No, Steve. I learned that a long time ago, so, I got burned back in the about 2002, 2003, 2004. I got stuck for about 600 grand and got real good at negotiating. And so, what we do is we know that there's skin in the game on our side. If there's not skin in the game on their side, they're not going to pay attention. So I need a little, I need a little bit of pinch, right?
Yes.
Pinching that ass, man. Let's go, brother.
Totally. Yeah.
And if you don't respect, and it's about mutual respect too. I just posted on LinkedIn, teach people how to treat you. Go where you go and be where you're celebrated. So if you're not, if I'm not celebrated by walking, why the fuck are you hiring me? Excuse me.
Exactly.
Totally
agree. I fired 2 clients this year. And I remember when we first started, of course, when you first start, you kind of starve and you do whatever it takes, you bend over, but I'm way past that now. This year, there's 2 clients where I just got on the call and said, we're done. Have a nice life. See ya. Good luck.
Right. Well, and the other thing too is, I know that if you do the research, the foundation is there, the success is there. So I'm not proving myself.
Totally agree.
Totally
agree. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Okay. So, and then your target, small, medium, Fortune 500, and let's also tie that into a second part of the question, which is any certain industry. Yeah. How do you want to Answer that.
Well, we're agnostic to the industry, and we're also agnostic to the side. And here why? Because
Okay.
I have a singular solution that could play with Sherwin-Williams.
Okay.
And literally there's very little investment. If there's $7,500 to engage this solution that will bring them millions, it's a lot. And it's
All
because
right.
of my relationship with the provider. So we're technically a reseller, but we're really not. We're more of a referral agent.
Okay. And you got 1099 consultants on the side, waiting in the wings on the flight deck for you to send off of the aircraft carrier, or you carry in W-2 folks, or a little bit of both?
Yeah, we've got 9 employees, and then we got probably, depending upon the engagement, 500 1090. I mean, yeah, obviously I'm being
People you could tap. People you could
but
tap.
yeah, we could bring the A team.
Okay. Very good. I figured you were carrying some as W-2, and then you had others that you bring in and flex up as needed. Yeah. I figured. How many active clients you usually running at a time on average? I know that's varies, but
We're right now running around 60.
yeah, that's busy. That's busy, my friend. How are you? How come you're not retired? You sold that last company. How come you didn't just stop? Or are you just you tell me what you're doing?
Well, Steve, not only am I not retired, I just started another food company with my recipes in the guacamole space. And we're going to be on the shelves in January.
Oh my gosh. You still got plenty of energy. By the way, you look like you're still in great shape.
Yeah, I woke up this morning 130 pounds, and I'm, 5'7", 130. Yeah, with a 29-inch waist. I'm 2 pounds less than my scratch weight in high school wrestling.
What? Okay.
Yep.
Holy shit. I feel fat talking to you right now. Holy cow. What are you are you eating vegetables every day? What's your diet? Come on,
No,
Peter.
man, it's all in one ingredient food. So I very rarely eat anything that's processed. My body's like a furnace.
Okay.
And I do 2 exercises essentially, well, 3: stretching, walking, and lifting.
What do you lift now? What's your lift? Like when you say, so walk us, do you mind giving me a few little details, like 20 minutes of lifting, some light lifting? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I do about 20 to 25 minutes of lifting 3 days a week.
Okay.
I walk probably around 250,000 to 300,000 steps a month. And I stretch the other 4 days.
Okay. All right. No cheeseburgers and pizzas at your house?
Sure. Yeah. Fridays, we do a pizza or a cheeseburger. Tonight I'm making chicken marsala with my wife when she gets home, with lemon angel hair pasta and a nice romaine salad.
Is she in super good shape too? I'm guessing she is.
She recently has gotten into really good shape. She looks magnificent.
Well, it'd be hard not to be in shape living with you.
Well, you would think, I guess, right? But at the end of the day, it's been a recent thing for her, and she really is just taking it to like a fish to water. She looks magnificent, and I'm so proud of her.
Well, tell me about this guacamole thing. Give it. Are you ready to announce any websites or anything? Give any info, or is it still too early?
Well, it's called Avocado Goodness Incorporated. We're working on the website. We're working on all the social media. My brilliant chief marketing officer, Kyle Obendorf, who I absolutely adore. He's a terrific guy and a beast too. You see this dude, man. He played in NFL Europe, but he created the logos. He created everything, and so how it came about was when I was dating my now wife 6-7 years ago. We first started dating actually about 5 years ago when we got serious. We would go on a Sunday fun day, and there was this Cuban restaurant here called Palladium, and we would go there, and they would do these guacamole samplers. And I was never a big guac guy, but I tasted it. I said, that's pretty good, So I went home, and I don't know why, but I said I could do better, and I did. And I started to take it to parties, and before you knew it, Steve, in 10, 15 minutes, the guac was gone.
How about that? Pretty cool.
And so I would get asked to parties, making sure that the guac was with me, and they would care more about the guac than me, and I was cool. It was cool. Matter of fact, one of my wrestling coaches, one of my wrestling captains, was a great kid, kid named Owen McClintock. His mother Kelly is our dentist, and she called me today. I just sent my sister to her, And she says, I love your sister, but I want your guac. And I went out there today and I just dropped off two samples of guac. So she goes, I didn't mean today. I didn't mean today. I said, yeah, it's all right. It's good. So anyhow,
you're far from retirement.
No. You know, it's going to put, you know, the only thing that will retire me is the grave. I want to work till the day I die. So, because it's me.
Are you doing, this may be too personal. I don't know if you want to ask this. Are you doing any stem cell? Are you doing any injections? Are you doing any testosterone shots? I mean, I listen to I listen to some of the Rogan podcasts, you know, and he takes every shot you can take to stay healthy. At your age, are you doing anything?
No, I've never been on a med except to just literally the last 2 months, I started to take omeprazole for reflux.
Okay. That's it. That's the only pill you're on.
That's it. My numbers are stunning. I get the preferred, super preferred for insurance and all that. But at the end of the day, I just had an endoscopy, you know, to check, right? Because I was having some swallowing issues.
Yeah.
And he said, it looks fantastic. What are you doing? I go, you're taking your medicine and you told me what not to do and I'm not doing it. So, you know, it's all diet, bro. It's all diet.
Man.
You got to get good sleep. You got to get good hydration. Don't, you know, I've never been a big part. I've never done a drug in my life. I never even held a joint in my hand to this day. Yeah. Well, what happened was when I was 13, I was living next door to these guys who were fantastic. They were my bigger brothers. One was 4 and 5 years older, but they got in the wrong crowd. And they made me who I was up until that point. I was 13 years old.
Okay.
And it was the day after my birthday, July 7th, my birthday, July 6th, when I just turned 13. And I looked over there and there was an ambulance carting them both away. They almost OD'd on heroin. And I made a pact to myself that day. In 1970, I would never touch a drug, and I never have to this day. So,
to not do a drug growing up as a young man in the 70s, the early 70s, that was tough because it was all around you.
Everywhere. You know,
how about
it's everywhere today too? I mean, you go to the grocery store and you smell ganja. I mean, it's like, what the hell is a skunk going here?
Yeah. I mean, will you have a glass of wine? You do wine at night now, or no? Not even no wine.
Yeah, you know, I was always a light drinker. You know, maybe 1 or 2 a week, if that. Okay. But since I was having these swallowing issues, one of the things they said is do not drink, and I have not drank in about 3 months, and I feel fantastic.
Yeah.
And my throat looks, he said, look, your throat looks phenomenal.
You know, I will confess, I always feel better if I don't have a couple of drinks. The problem, and so I do admit, like I always feel better in the morning if I don't have a drink or two. Yeah. But the problem is I like to have a drink or two. I want both.
Well, I do miss, you know, once in a while have a nice, good, you know, robust glass of red wine with some pasta, you know, whatever. But believe me, you don't want to go with I went through. I mean, I was having choking issue. It was terrible.
Ooh, yeah,
it was terrible. And I ended up in the ER because I couldn't swallow some vitamins. I got stuck, and it was stuck for 7 hours, and I had to go under, and they had to push it down.
Oh, yeah, that'll okay, yeah, that'll that experience will.
Yeah. Woke me right the fuck up.
I want to ask you before we're wrapping up here, just real quick. Sure. Looking at our time here. Curious as to your thoughts around the technology and AI advancements that you're seeing now as an experienced entrepreneur, businessman. You're a seasoned guy. You've seen a lot. You got scars. You've been to battle, and you see all this happening with some things in the last 12 months and ChatGPT and all these other tools, especially as ChatGPT and Midjourney and all these other things that I would think are affecting marketing agencies. Just what are your thoughts, Peter, just in general about the advancement of technology and where you might see it going? And I know this is a broad question, and then I just want to tie it into, do you think there'll be job loss, and what do you see happening? Just curious.
Well, look, at the end of the day, when I started my first agency in 1987, what I could do on this right? It took me a 2,000 square foot office, a secretary, or maybe even two, filing cabinets, huge tapes, whiteboards, you name it, right? Storyboards, all that. And I could literally do this. Look at what we're doing right here. Okay.
Yep.
This is Star Trek shit.
Yep.
Yeah, of course. It eradicated my need for my secretary. It eradicated my need for a 2,000 square foot office for that. Obviously, other things you need office space for.
Yep.
And it cut down on any product that I had to buy that was expensive. Tapes were expensive. Cameras were expensive. So yeah, there's job loss. I remember charging a lot of money for PR retainers. I remember charging a lot of things for for logo design and branding design and all that. And today you can go to Fiverr and get 50 different brands for $5. So yeah, it's going to change it. It's a little overhyped right now, just like blockchain was, just like crypto. There's a lot of overhype, but just like EVs are overhyped right now. But all of this is going to continue to get better. So it's incumbent upon, I think, the astute individual to put themselves in that evolution.
Yes, bingo.
To utilize it. So if you're saying to me EVs are never going to be something, I think you're missing the boat, because that's the same thing that people said that they were driving horse and buggies to the internal combustion engine.
Right.
Yes, right now they suck, but they're not going to suck 10 years from now. We're going to figure it out. We're going to figure out how to have better batteries. We're going to figure out how to not have the carbon footprint, the waste of making an EV. We're going to figure out how to have better charging stations or less charging, needing a less charge, all those kinds of things. Yeah. And it's just the way that we are. And that's where I think AI is. But it's also in the hands of the user, right? Because AI is, at this point, is just neutral. If you're using it as an astute person, you're going to have wealth transfer for you. And you're seeing a lot of wealth transfer, particularly in the hands of the youth, because they know how to use the technology.
Yep.
And so that said, are you going to use it for good, or are you going to not use it for nefarious reasons?
Right. There'll always be bad guys out there. I mean,
well, look at, I don't want to get too political right now, but look what happened to Israel. They went the opposite. They used analog. They used carriers. So they went around the intel that was created by the digital, shield. And they went really, 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 really old school. So with technology, you have tremendous power, but you also have tremendous vulnerabilities.
That's true.
So, so we need to understand that and not be emotionally co-opted by it, but objectively viewing it as a tool.
There you go. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. As far as, you can't run away from it. You can't hide from it. You should be very aware. You should be up to date on it, and you should learn how to use it to your advantage. That's what I tell candidates. That's what I tell hiring managers. That's what I tell my own people. I was like, look, ChatGPT, for example, is used that one. There's so many things, but I mean, it's like, that's not going away. So you might as well learn how to use it to make you stronger, smarter, and faster. I mean, use it to your advantage.
We just did a business plan for my avocado company.
Yeah.
And we used part of it was done through ChatGPT.
Sure.
I would have had to pay $10,000 even as far away as 5 years ago for a business plan.
No doubt.
It cost me $99.
Exactly. And it's not perfect yet. And sure, you're going to find, you're going to tweak the whatever spit out, but it gives you a base to work from, just like that,
strong base,
a strong base. And, I think it's going to move faster. Last thing on that whole topic is, here's what I'll be glad to have happen. I got all these new tools, right? Whether it's Midjourney or ChatGPT or HeyGen, I got all these things. I got to have all these different fucking logins and all these different monthly payments and all this. I just want one general AI assistant. I want one little robot, one little hot female robot lady that pops up on my screen. And I just want to be able to talk to her and tell her what I need. And she goes to all these things and brings in for me what I need. And I think, by the way, that is not too far off.
It's not. It's not. Steve, if you can imagine it, it will be done.
Yeah, I think it's not too far away. I was telling my wife the other day, I'm like, where's my general? By the way, have you tried ChatGPT's voice response yet from the phone app?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, well, just having a conversation with it, it's like, oh, it's getting close. It's getting very close. It's getting closer. Anyway.
They say, what Kurzweil said, the singularity is coming in 2030. So get ready.
Yeah.
See what happens.
I believe it. I mean, I'm worried for my granddaughters a little bit. I'll be dead before it gets too crazy. Before John Connor and Sarah Connor, I don't know if you knew from the Terminator movie. Before all that happens, me and you'll probably be gone.
Yeah, exactly. I saw a meme the other day. George Orwell says, "I wish I was wrong."
Totally right. I mean, how much of that? But remember reading that book in high school or college? Like, how much of that book are you like, wow? Mm-hmm. He was a few years off, but still.
Bingo.
PalladiumEdge.com. PalladiumEdge.com. Go there. You can click on the learn more, click the contact button, whether you need help figuring out what's wrong with your business. And by the way, I was going to mention this earlier. Every business needs help of some kind. I ran a couple of $40 million companies as a CEO and president before I started Riderflex, and I known many executives. I have never in my life at the age of 56 walked away from a company visit, went back to the hotel and said to myself, wow, that company's perfect. There is nothing they can do better. Like that. Everybody needs help. It's just a matter of whether or not they want to admit it and whether they want to pay for it. That's it.
Bingo. 100% right. 100% right.
Peter, thank you so much for joining me on the Riderflex podcast. I really appreciate it.
Steve, you're amazing. Keep doing great work. You're doing great work, and I appreciate it and honored to be on. Thank you.